Now we're on the air. Okay, cool. All right, now it's recording. Um, Ryan, can you update us about the build system?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So mostly Rod has put up a Jenkins instance. Is built, start building. I think we're using actually some DigitalOcean machines and the general strategy is to build everything inside containers, yeah, perhaps Docker containers if that works, and going all the way up to perhaps full-blown VMs if on various platforms if containers just aren't working out. You can only do that so much and get a target destination tooling that works in a container at this point. So, we're going to start as lightweight as possible, and then eventually perhaps build out to every VM running every main targeted destination. With that said, probably the harder ones that we haven't gotten to are the Mac builds. We have machines running, and I have credentials donated from Voxer. They were gracious enough to stand up a few Mac Minis in their data center, which sounds kind of silly, but they're physically Mac Minis. That's simply because you can't, even though we're going to actually build inside a Mac VM, it's going to be on a Mac VM because you need it to the tooling has to be inside of itself, if you will.
It's also a licensing issue. Like you can't actually get a license to Mac not on Mac hardware. It's
Right. Right. So yeah, as far as the reason why we're going inside either a container or a VM at all times is for security. We're going to be wanting to be very security minded since we're essentially executing code with the unit tests. Rod and I kind of talked about how we're going to uh, only allow no core contributors to build it, and so I mean there's just vanilla Jenkins facilities to control that, so we could do it that way, or have a little guard in our build scripts in Jenkins to do it. We're not overly concerned about that. It only becomes relevant once this starts building and there's pull requests from community members. We just want to make sure it's locked down to only certain people can build on certain branches inside of VM.
interesting. Okay, cool. And so some builds are happening, right? And like, are the tests passing? Like, what's the
No,
status? No?
that's probably the first point of thing that we wanted to kind of bring up. The builds on Node 12 with off the 12 branches, I think really the only ones we should really worry about at this point, since it's a more forward-thinking project, are not passing, and a lot of it is I forgot exactly the test. We think it's just going to be a few changes in one or two systems, and several tests will start passing, and then everything will be green on Jenkins. And once we do that, we're going to start multiplying the builds out on different destination OSs and kernels. But we wanted to kind of get past the failing build. So luckily, we can work directly with Trevor, Rod and I, and then he can kind of quarterback the everything out from there.
So are the test results visible anywhere, or?
Yeah, yeah. Here, I'll put in chat the link to the Jenkins.
Cool. Okay. All right. So I did to some of the other points, but does anybody have anything to say about that Thorsten patch yet? Trevor was reviewing it. It seemed like kind of a big deal.
I didn't look at it, so I don't know. Ben? Ben didn't either, I guess.
Sorry, I don't know what patch we're talking about.
No, it's too early. Next week we can discuss this, I guess.
Okay, I just posted a link to it. We can probably talk about it next week if it doesn't get merged in the meantime. I mean, you guys can probably just comment on it, but I just wanted to bring it up in case nobody had seen it. Okay, so I guess the other big point is Saturday everything will go public again. I updated the README with some better kind of messaging about it. One last kind of contentious issue is that people have been getting the people that know about the Node core work that's happening, like, get really confused when we talk about the Node forward TC because they're doing a bunch of Node forward stuff that has nothing to do with core. So we've talked about renaming it, and some of the names just had the word core in it like 4 times and Node in it 4 times and stuff. But yeah, so I think before I make these videos public, it would be I'll change the name to basically the Node forward core TC, or it'll probably just be like NF core TC, something like that.
All right, seems good.
Cool. Okay. And then the libuv move. I saw Seul was gonna post an issue. Did he actually do that? Or?
I think Saul is on holiday, so he comes back early. Yeah, not so. I thought early November, so that should be around now. But I don't think he's gone. So he's been gone so long. But so when I see him again, I'll bug him about it.
Okay, cool.
But I think the libuv move will mostly be that like libuv can stay where it is, and well, we can just land like stuff host libuv10 in another repo. It's a very low key change.
Okay, cool. All right. I think that's about it. Very short one today.
Yeah, we don't. It's a bit sad that we don't have quorum. So.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think going forward, I am gonna make that change. God, I need to go into the document. But we talked in the last meeting about not doing the meetings like this, but basically creating an issue for building an agenda, and then have people contribute to the agenda, and then we just whatever people want to be in the meeting will say that they want to be in the meeting, and then we can schedule it with them, because it's kind of impossible to get everybody in every meeting. It's just too many time zones.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I doubt that we'll have like sort of quorum like this, but there'll be an issue and like a few days for you to look at the issue and go like anything on this agenda that I have contentious issues about, I need to be in this meeting, right? And then there'll be a bunch of shit that most people don't care about. So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm also wondering if we can, like going forward, like maybe it's something we can discuss next week or put on the agenda for next week, but. We should really be serious about forming, I would say, working groups for solving different issues. And we could even have a working group that decides, what gets into 0.12, because that scales much easier, I think. So this is again more of an organizational thing, but all these things keep popping up. Like, I participate in some discussion with Forrest Novell about better error handling in Node, and some other thing about being VM agnostic, and I guess there's many different threads of like slightly more long-term future projects that are going on, but there's no everybody's waiting for 0.12, and there's also nobody that eventually gets to decide this is what we want to, this is a train we want to be on, and this is something we don't want to do. So like something we should probably think about is how can we sort of coordinate the project but delegate like a lot of coding and a lot of defining and that kind of stuff. Yes, I agree, Ben. Not the engine. I would go for 0.12. That's the entire issue. I mean, generators are also out of scope for 0.12.
Well, I think that we should really stop talking about 0.12 because we have no control over that, right?
Yes.
And so, but if we want to start doing releases, coming up with a more dynamic, distributable release process is definitely good. Like I'm a big fan of just like having big feature branches that people are doing work in, and when one of those seems ready and it's a breaking change, like that's when the version number gets bumped, right? Rather than having these giant long ass releases. Like.
Yeah, we really need to get away from that and start doing what everybody else in the Node community is doing, and like use Semver and just make breaking changes when you have to make them and deal with it.
Yeah, that's also true.
This whole thing where we have like one big train for what goes in 0.12 and everything, like we don't do the release until everything is done and ready, is a complete and like it's an antiquated anti-pattern, right? Like what we should be doing is saying 0.12 will be released at a particular time, and whatever's ready at that time gets in it. Or like, and even the version number is dependent on when things get done. We just do a release every 6 weeks, and like, or we do ship some kind of release every week, and just like when the version number has to change, it has to change.
Yeah, and like I mean, we talked in a couple threads about this, but like it would be nice to be aggressive about updating the version of V8, and just like whenever the V8 API breaks, then we change the version number to show that the version that V8 is breaking, and then we
Right.
invest more resources in stuff like Nan and make Nan sort of like a semi-official endorsed thing. Where like try to use this if you can.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you gain a lot if you just sort of accept, like, what if we just landed every V8 change as it came, and if we did a release every week of something.
Well, and but we would want to coordinate a little bit with like Nan, right? So that we don't take a V8 with a breaking change where Nan doesn't have support yet, right? So there's not even a vector to support it yet.
Exactly. So the thing is, like, if we made that the goal, which I think would be a good goal, it's a little bit ambitious, but I think it's doable. Then the question becomes, like, what sort of infrastructure and support do we need for that? And that's what we're building that's what's happening, right, with the build stuff, with the Voxer Mac Minis and the DigitalOcean VMs. And I think that the obvious sort of takeaway there is, like, well, this even odd version number thing has obviously got to go. We should just start using Semver, and like when things are patch releases, we mark them as a patch release. When they're breaking change, we bump the major version and just move forward.
There's actually a giant thread about this in the roadmap repo, and I've only seen one person ever say that they liked the even odd thing, and everyone else is like, I hate this. What is this? So I think the even odd thing definitely has to go.
It was a clever idea that was basically an alternative before Semver happened, right? But like the history has chosen Semver as the winner, so that's the pattern we should be using.
Yeah, okay. I agree also about that. But of course, like, changing the versioning scheme doesn't really make progress happen. It just changes the versioning scheme.
No, but what we have now is we have progress being halted because of our versioning scheme.
That's true. So like this part we fixed.
Remove that block.
Yeah, I would say that the release process is clearly broken, and the versioning scheme is not helping. And a vector for fixing the release process is also changing the versioning scheme, right?
Okay, we're all agreeing as hard as we can at this point.
Yes, that's not good.
That's what these calls are all about, just agreeing real hard with each other. So,
yep. Cool. I've actually got to run.
Yeah, I'm done. Is everybody else done?
I'm also done.
Great.
Cool. All right.
Thanks.
It was really boring this week. Goodbye.
Guys.
Bye.
Thanks for setting it up. Bye.
Oh, and don't talk to any reporters.
Won't do. Bye-bye.